Hey everyone, it's Kai from WCC. So today we're going to talk about Kagero and how to build the End in this current meta, where it's one of the strongest decks in the game, and how we're going to build it from either a previous state or just from like kind of the beginning. But before I go there, we're going to talk about something that's been popping up in the comments a lot of like two big questions, right? And it's, what should I pick between like Royals, Kagero, or Shadow Paladin? And we'll answer this question first. And here's a breakdown. Here's a quick breakdown out of all the three clans, right? And we'll start from the first one, that is Royal Paladin. So Royal Paladin, generally regarded as the best deck in the format. It's a quick deck, it wins quickly, so it's great for ranking where, you know, speed is a thing. You need to grind as many games as you can just to, like, rank up the ladder. It's also consistent, like decently consistent enough, especially in English where it doesn't have a nerfed Wingle Brave. The Wingle Brave you have is still very good, so consistency is great. Ganslot is really insane. It's a great card. It's like you put a heal on it, goes back to deck, search your Blaster Blade, ups the consistency a lot. A lot of other clans don't have that kind of power. And then the weakness of the deck is that it does require a lot of double Rs and triple Rs to make it the best possible standard. So if you're worried about building this deck and like not getting all the pieces, then Royal Paladin might not be what you're looking for. But yes, it is the best deck in the format, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion too. And it's just really, it's fast, and if you're a ranker, this is the one you want to go for. Now Kagero, it's about the same level as Shadow Paladin. They're all kind of in tier 2 compared to like Majesty Lord Blaster, which is in tier 1. Tejas has that. It can shut down Wingle Brave, and it doesn't, again, it's not nerfed, so you can ride it on Vanguard and attack back row. It's a very consistent deck. It's probably more consistent, well, slightly more consistent than Royal Paladin at the moment. Conroe can just get you Sentinels, and then just by like drawing, you have Gojo, your Persona Blast draws you cards. That will also kind of just fish a lot of Sentinels naturally to your hand as well. Relatively cheap cost when you compare it to the other two clans in terms of what is required for the deck. You generally just need Dragonic Overlord and like the End. Those two triple Rs are just basically what you need, and you're done. And that core is not reliant on anything else, unlike MLB where, you know, you need Blaster Blades, you need Blaster Darks, you kind of need dance slots to make it better. On the flip side, this is less explosive than the other two decks. The only way you can get a crit is with Stricken, and if you decide to go budget, then you might not have Stricken. And the explosive power also really comes, you know, when you go Stricken on the End, then you can have like a crit restander. Otherwise, you're going to be an Overlord, and that's just going to be just 2 damage. But, you know, it's better than nothing. And finally, if Shadow Paladin, again, same power level as Kagero, they're on the same tier. It's really consistent as well as both a ride chain and draw power from like the main. It has explosive potential. You can get tempo really well with Phantom Blaster Dragon and Overlord with just getting crits and retiring your opponents, so you can shut down their intercepts. And it's the most expensive deck to build when you compare it to the other two clans, which is pretty annoying sometimes because you need 12 triple Rs to max power it. And with this deck, there's actually no way to shut down Wingle Brave except through your Blaster Duck CB2. But that will hardly happen. It's very expensive, and but your game plan doesn't really care about playing around a Wingle Brave. It's more about just playing with yourself, right? So that was the big question. It's up to you. Rankers, I would definitely recommend Royal Paladin. And then the rest, Kagero and Shadow Paladin. If you're budget, if you're poor, go for Kagero. If you have 4 Dragonic Overlords, which was the rank reward before, yeah, Kagero is where you want to go. And then otherwise, it's just down to aesthetics. Shadow Paladin, again, if you like edgy boys, Shadow Paladin is there, but it does require more money. And the second question was that should I gacha now or wait for the rate up? So there's the way to solve this is gacha now if you care about ranking this season. So if you want to get top 1,000 or better, then you probably want to start gachaing now, because you don't want to, everyone's going to have, well, at least a lot of people will be getting their MLB decks, and MLB will definitely be quick enough to help you in that journey to top 1,000. I don't know the top 1,000 cutoff. I think it was around rank 70 or 80 last few times. That might be old information, but definitely now with these new decks, the the ranking speed might be higher, so we might even be looking at like rank 1000 if you want to get into top 1000, or might not. It really depends. But if you want to get top 100, then yes, getting it something like an MLB will really help you out. If you only want to get to legend 50, that doesn't count. You can just naturally get to legend 50 if you even VP farming, you can get to legend 50. So don't waste. You don't need to gacha now if you just want to get to legend 50. Wait for raid ups if you only care about a specific clan and you don't care about the ranking, right? If you want all the clans, then go for it. Just start spending now. Go for it. But if you only want a Shadow Paladin, if you only want Dote, then you might just want to wait for the clan specific rate up. So that is the 2 questions. Let's move on to the deck we're going to talk about today, and that is the End. Okay, so let's dive into the Dragonic Overlord deck. This is a full power Dragonic Overlord deck, as you can see. We're running Conroe as our starter, always, because Conroe is amazing. But let's look at this deck a bit. We'll go from grade 1s to grade 3s. And if we look at the grade 1s here, you can see that it's all pretty good, alright? Most of these cards are very common to get. The hardest one to get is Barry. It is the only double R here. And look, if you're not running 4 PGs by now, it's going to be tough times for you. Tough luck, right? But don't worry, Sentinel medals, you can just get them from VP farming, so get to it. But otherwise, yes, grade 1s, 4 Barrys, 4 Gojos to help filter our deck. We've got 4 bars, AK, hits numbers, and then we have 1 Airmo. So if you really want the Airmo, you can search for it via Conroe. Otherwise, you search for a PG. It really depends on the matchup. If it's MLB or a deck where your opponent has a crit Vanguard, then go for your PG. If it's a slower deck, then go for Airmos, and you can kind of filter your deck a bit better. Moving on to our grade 2s, we run 4 Stricken, and we have 4 Bellicosti Dragon, 2 Berserk Dragon, and 3 Tages. So 3 Tages because we want to get rid of your opponent's, just for that MLB matchup, going against Wingle Brave, you want to get rid of that. 2 Berserk Dragons, because Berserk Dragon's still pretty good. You can run more of this. This is kind of just up to you. Run 4 Bellicosti just to counteract our counter chargers. And then Stricken. So Stricken is really up to you. It has restraint, so it can attack. But when you ride upon it, your Vanguard gets power 5k and a crit. Now, Stricken is just a nice 10k body. It helps you make your next ride a bit stronger, more explosive. If it's a Dote, then it's going to be a really strong Dote turn if you have the Restander. But if you don't like restraint, if you don't like not having the ability to attack that turn, then just run the Holims. No big deal. They're both 10k bodies. And it's just fine. It's just fine. And finally, we have our grade 3 lineup. You're gonna look at this grade 3 lineup, and you're gonna be like, wow, there is 13 SP triple R's here, not SPs. If they were SPs, I'd be rich. But if there's 13 triple R's here, this is crazy. How am I gonna afford this deck? Well, I'm just gonna tell you something. You only need 8 of them. You only need 8 of them. All right. You only need Overlords and Overlords. Okay, the End and Overlord. That's all you need. And if you got Dragonic Overlord from the previous rank rewards, then you're already halfway there. These sealed dragon blockades, you don't need that. You can fill them with something else. And this waterfall is just pretty much here just to flex. You can literally run anything in these 5 slots and it will be fine. Now, one thing though is that sealed dragon blockade is actually decent. You will probably have it if you've been playing since set 1, and it's just overall a good card now. Before, it was a 10k body against 11k bodies, and it had a tough time because Cargo generally doesn't get a lot of advantage at all. But with Dragonic Overlord the End now, it draws 2. It just draws 2, alright? That's great. It has twin drive twice, so you have more of a chance to increase your hand size. So suddenly your blockade is, again, pretty decent as a finisher. Now, moving on to the more budget build, okay? If we think about this deck, the core is just these 8 triple Rs. The rest of this deck can be anything. Let's move on to the budget build, okay? So here you can see that, again, we're still running the Conroe starter. Never forget, Conroe is amazing and you get it for free. And the grade 1 haven't really changed much at all, because, again, there is not much to change. This is nearly perfect. This is nearly the best. You can run, the new Airmo if you value hitting 21k with Overlords, but that's not really required. And you can run something like Heat Nail Salamander as well if you want to, but again, this is pretty much kind of as good as it gets. Alright, grade 2s are the interesting part, because if you looked at previously, we had a lot of double Rs as grade 2s, but here we've kind of slimmed it down a lot. They're all pretty common cards. So got 4 Nahalem, like I said before. You don't need Strickens. We increased Altages count to 4 because we hate MLB. So we just more Tages. Just didn't get nerfed. Can attack back row. It's cool. Now we run 4 Flame Edge Dragon. Why? Because it's for memes. You don't have to run Flame Edge Dragon, but when it hits something, you can soul charge one. And if you randomly just soul charge an Overlord, that means when you can just immediately ride the end and it'll be 13k. Also, if you ride the end first and don't have an Overlord in soul, then this can help you just randomly soul charge an Overlord. Now, of course, this is definitely not required. This is a pretty meme card, but you can run anything. If you run like Blazing Flare Dragon, if you pull that triple R, then you can dump this in the deck, and then this will also help it out. And then finally, we have Burning Horn Dragon. Now, this Burning Horn Dragon can literally be any double R, okay? Any double R you get in set 5, or set 4, sorry, is pretty good, and you just dump it in. But since you're cracking packs, which I hope you are cracking packs, you'll definitely get at least some double Rs. So just Burning Horn is just an example double R. If you have a budget deck, the Burning Horn is actually pretty decent because you can then run 6Ks, and with a 12k attacker like this, it will hit numbers, hit 18, and all is fine and dandy. Again, this will naturally just hit against MLBs if you have an Overlord Vanguard as well. And then on your grade 3s, again, the core of the deck is still here for Overlords and for Dote. And then we ran Dragonic Executioner. It gets 2k when it attacks a Vanguard, and that thing is cool because MLBs are 12k. So this will just swing by itself and hit MLB. And lastly, we see our good old buddy Graphite Cannon Dragon. He is in because we are budget. Counterblast 1 gets 3k, hits 13k. So that's all good. This is the budget deck. As you can see, not much has changed, and a lot of these cards are pretty easy to get. And just pretty much the core here is the harder card to get. Now we're gonna move on to the flowchart now, and that we'll talk about the triple R priorities and what other cards that could be interesting to put in your budget deck. Okay, so we're back with the flowchart here. On the left, we've got the triple R priority. Look, there's only 2 triple Rs here, but with Overlord, you can literally just skip this if you already got it from the rank rewards or you have like a good stuff deck before. Because, like I said in the old Kagero video, I'll link it below because it has some, talks about good stuff Kagero from set 1 and 2. But if you had Kagero before, then 4 Overlords is great because Overlord is 11k. It's a decent Vanguard because it's 11k, but it's also a great rear card because it just wipes your opponent's front row. So if you don't have it, just get it. And then with the End, you definitely want 4 of the End. It is a Persona Blast, but even like by itself, if you only have 1 copy and you just dump it in your deck, you have a chance to become 13k. So it's not all that bad. Furthermore, if you don't have like Overlords here, right, and you somehow crack like 2 or 3 the Ends, you can technically just craft another the End because you want that Persona Blast. Sure, you won't get the 13k, but at least you can get the Persona Blast off, and it helps up the consistency of the deck in a way. And then you can start crafting Overlords. So it's up to you. It's up to you how you want to prioritize this. Overlord, great rear guard, will turn the End into 13k, but the End by itself is also a great Vanguard, and you need a Persona Blast, so you need more of that. So ideally, just craft the one you probably need more of, and that should be fine. Now, here we'll go through some of the filler cards that I have not shown. So in the budget deck that I showed before, those cards are all good for you to use. Go for them. But here are the cards that haven't been shown and that I consider to be pretty good fillers. So grade 1s, Heat Nail Salamander. I did mention this one before. It can help you retire opponent's back rows and make more of a kind of a grindy game. But grade 1s are just generally quite easy to get, so it's very easy to just build your grade 1s. Grade 2 filler slots, we have Dragon Armored Knight. It's just basically a 10k base. If you don't have a card in the same column as Dragon Knight, though, it does minus 2k, so it becomes 8k, but if you do, then it becomes 10k, and it's cool, and it's basically just another alternative for a 10k Vanguard. If you run Nahalem and you want more Nahalems, maybe this is something that you might want to look into. Sutherland is decent if you're playing a build that focuses more on retiring. If you're running Heat, like Salamanders here, run more Berserk Dragons, and this will become 12k and allow you to hit things. And then lastly is just like the 11k hitter, 11 plus 7, 11 plus 8 hits numbers, so that's all good. And then grade 3 fillers, you have Julax Arcfiend. It can become 13k in a more grindy build, more tire based build. And Exile Dragon. Now, this guy can only retire grade 3s, but now grade 3s have slightly more value in the game. Sure, they cannot intercept, so what's the point of killing them? There's some high value cards like Palamedes, hits 13k. A lot of grade 3s are just 11k base now, so 11 plus 7 hits numbers. So if you kill off the 11, then there is less ways for you to them to effectively math you into hitting good numbers, right? If you're 13k, they're 7, they need that 11. If they lose that 11 and they don't replace it with another one, then they're not hitting your numbers, right? So this has slightly higher value now and will definitely work well if you're running things like Sutherland. But otherwise, any RR plus is fine to just fill out your grade 3 slot, or you can just stick to the old good stuff builds. And again, I will mention that in the description below on where you can see that old video on Kagero. Apart from that, yeah, Kagero pretty easy. If you want to get a meta deck, then look into these 2 cards and bam, you're pretty much nearly good to go. So that's it for Kagero. Definitely get on it. Kagero is cool and the end is cool. I did do a video on Shadow Paladin as well, so if you haven't seen that, just again, I'll link it below and you can go check that out. And I did do everything else. I did do Royals, I did do old OTT as well, so they're all in somewhere, but maybe I can make a playlist for that. But the next video will be MLB, and that will likely be tomorrow. So that's it from me. If you want to see my set 4 pulls that I had a gacha fight with Derek, then I posted a video this morning and I will link it too. So go check that out, and that's all. See you guys in the next video. Bye.